Yeah, baby. As a professional player in the NHL, Brian Spinner Spencer's life was full of excitement. Spencer was anything but a finesse player. What he lacked in technical talent, he made up for with toughness and ruthlessness. He never shied away from taking a hit, as long as he was able to dish out some pain of his own. Spencer ultimately scored 80 goals and collected 143 assists during 553 NHL games. Arguably, Brian performed at his best during the 74-75 season with the Buffalo Sabres. During that season, he scored 12 goals and accumulated 29 assists. The Buffalo Sabres were conference and division champions. Spencer and the Sabres made it to the Stanley Cup final. Unfortunately, the team was beaten by the Philadelphia Flyers 4-2. Nevertheless, Spencer quickly became a hero to fans in Buffalo and all nearby cities. Sadly, this is not a story of triumph. It is a cautionary tale. Beneath the greatness on the ice, the Spinner was spiraling out of control. Soon, he would meet the same fate as his father. This is the story of Brian Spinner Spencer. Brian Spencer was born on September 3rd, 1949, in Fort St. James, British Columbia. It was clear from a very early age that Spencer was destined for great things. The Canadian hit it big during the 1969 NHL entry draft. He was drafted 55th overall by the Toronto Maple Leafs. It was a dream come true. The 21-year-old was ready to shine when he was called up to play his first NHL game on December the 12th of 1970. The only person who was more excited was his father, Roy. Brian called his father and informed him that he would be playing on Hockey Night in Canada. Spencer was scheduled to be interviewed between periods. Roy was ecstatic. He had pushed his son hard for years. Now it was all about the payoff. He installed a new antenna to guarantee he'd be able to watch his son's interview with crystal clear clarity. Unfortunately, the station airing the game made a fatal mistake by featuring a different game between the Vancouver Canucks and the California Gold Seals. Brian had no idea what was coming next. Roy Spencer wanted to see his son on television, and nothing was going to prevent that from happening. Roy was dying of kidney disease, so he had little to lose, and he wasn't going to let this opportunity pass him by. An infuriated Roy jumped into his vehicle and drove 84 miles to the nearest TV station. He stormed the CKPG studio with gun in hand. He ordered station staff to broadcast his son's game. There was little the staff could do. Roy's anger intensified when his wish was not granted. He ordered the televisions to be turned off. Roy told the staff, "I am very disturbed by the CBC, and I don't want to kill anybody, but I have killed before. I killed many times in the commandos. Turn off the television." The in-studio monitors were left on. Roy was reaching his tipping point. He spoke of a revolution against the CBC before demanding staff shut off the televisions again. This time, the staff did as ordered. Miraculously, Roy left without physically harming any of the staff. After stepping out the front door, Roy found himself surrounded by 3 RCMP officers. A standoff ensued. It was brief. Roy turned around commando style and opened fire. RCMP returned fire. Roy Spencer was hit and killed. One officer was hit in the foot. Another officer's holster was hit by a bullet. Spencer died right there, lying in a pool of his own blood on the sidewalk. It took less than 6 minutes. The ominous event did not deter Brian Spencer. His career did not miss a beat. He tried his best to put the past behind him and continued landing the biggest body checks his muscular body could muster. Spencer carried the names of the 3 Mounties involved in his wallet for many years. Still, he kept his anger in check. After playing with Toronto for several seasons, he was passed off to the New York Islanders. While he made an impact, he wouldn't reach his peak until he was acquired by the Buffalo Sabres. Buffalo fans adored Spencer for his rough and tough attitude. Fans would gasp and subsequently cheer when he landed a big hit on an opponent. Around this time, Spencer's game improved significantly. Spencer and the Sabres were on the verge of winning it all. They faced off against the Flyers during the 1975 Stanley Cup Finals. Unfortunately, the Flyers took home Stanley's Cup. In September of 1977, Spencer was signed to the Pittsburgh Penguins. He finished his career in the AHL. He retired after the 79-80 season. After the Spinner's retirement, his life would begin spinning out of control. Spencer attempted to settle back into civilian life. He took up a job as a mechanic. It just wasn't meant to be. Soon Spencer would find himself involved in activities far more dangerous than those he faced on the ice. Spencer was twice divorced. He had 5 kids he didn't support. He began abusing his body with alcohol. From 82 to 1985, Spencer was arrested 5 times for drunk driving. He accumulated 18 points in his license. In a 1984 traffic stop report, police stated that Spencer was combative. He said he would kick the officer's ass if he didn't have a uniform on. He also asked the officer if he got an orgasm for arresting him. Before too long, Spencer lost his license. Just when things appeared to calm down, he was charged with first-degree murder. He would soon be facing the death penalty in Florida, a state most adamant about electrocuting wrongdoers. The killing was 5-year-old. The case hinged on the testimony of a call girl who lived in Spencer's shabby trailer around the time of the murder. At Fantasy Island Escorts, Diane Delena was known as Crystal. She was single-handedly responsible for Spencer being brought to trial. According to Diane, she was assigned to a cocaine-addicted client in February of 1982. She suspected that the man, Michael Dalfo, had followed her home. She told police that she and Spencer confronted the man before driving him to a secluded road in West Palm Beach. The following day, Michael Dalfo was found dead in a ditch. He had been shot twice in the head with a .25 caliber gun. Delena agreed to testify and received partial immunity in return. The prosecution had major problems. There wasn't a gun or any physical evidence to link Spencer to the murder. Charles Burton would be assigned as judge of the case. He would soon become famous for the hanging Chad. Burton admitted that the case against Spencer was feeble. Delena never saw the altercation. She never heard any gunshots. Spencer's former teammate, Rick Martin, testified as a character witness. This time, the Spinner would escape the penalty box. It took just 1 hour for jurors to set the Spinner free. Many were not happy with the acquittal. It would just be a matter of time before the Spinner would spin one last time. After the acquittal, Spencer said he had been given another chance in life. It was an opportunity he would let pass by. In just 3 months, Spencer's life would come to an abrupt end. As painful as it might have been, the finale perfectly suited the tumultuous story of Spencer's life. It is June 3rd, 1988. Spencer's riding around with a friend, Gregory Scott Cook, in Riviera Beach. Crack cocaine has a powerful grip on the city's inhabitants. After a night at bars in the Singer Island section of the city, Cook and Spencer bought cocaine and stopped near the old City Hall complex. A white Buick or Oldsmobile pulled up next to them. A man with a handgun got out and demanded money. Cook gave the man $3. Spencer refused. He claimed he had no money to give. The man's hand was steady as he pulled the trigger on the .357. The bullet barrel passed Cook and hit Spencer. It pierced Spencer's upper arm, traveled through his lung, heart, and liver. Cook hit the accelerator. The car sideswiped the robber's vehicle as Cook sped away. The car pulled up to the nearby fire station. Some didn't believe the tale. Martin O'Malley, who wrote a biography on Spencer, speculated that it was an assassination. After all, Spencer had received death threats from anonymous callers after the murder trial. O'Malley's 1988 biography would eventually be turned into a television movie. Regardless, it would matter very little to the spinner. His life ended that cold, gloomy night. Many were not surprised. At one point, Brian Spencer's trim brother, Byron, told him that he was going to die with his new friends who were drug users. Some of Brian's old accomplices believe he might have been capable of killing Michael Dalfo. That murder case remains unsolved. Did Brian Spencer take the answers to his grave? Spencer's killers would not get off so easy. Leon Lump Daniels and Larry Willie Johnson would ultimately be charged in Brian's killing. Lump quickly agreed to testify against Johnson. He was charged with second-degree murder, attempted robbery, and robbery. He was sentenced to 18 years in prison with no minimum mandatory sentence related to the use of a firearm. He was given credit for the 441 days he had already served. Daniel's attorney thought his client would be out in just 3.5 years due to prison crowding. He was released on May the 10th, 1996. Leon Daniels was arrested again and served more prison time. Johnson fled. He eluded police until his mother convinced him to return from Lawton, Oklahoma. Johnson was no stranger to law enforcement. He was previously sentenced to 3 years for a similar crime. Larry Willie Johnson was sentenced to 40 years. He was released in March of 2007. According to Daniels, the two men targeted Spencer and Cook for retribution after the two men bought cocaine with a fake $100 bill. Later, Daniels explained that it was nothing more than a botched robbery. The spinner's career started out with a bang. His life ended with a gunshot. Sadly, the turmoil would not end there. Spencer's daughter and grandson were killed in a car accident in Oklahoma in 1999. While it is tough to look at Brian Spencer as a role model, one can easily obtain wisdom from his tumultuous life. Many cannot remember Brian Spencer or the hours he put in perfecting his body check. Nevertheless, his life should never be forgotten. At the very least, it holds many valuable lessons that will prove to be beneficial for those traveling down the wrong path. Hey there, sugar. Won't you stay around a while? Watch another video from Quicker Liquor Finder.